Meantime, we are about to go racing with the vintage boats.
There's an old saying, they don't make them like they used to. Yes, they certainly do not. But that doesn't mean they can't race them like they used to. Gentlemen, get ready to start those thundering classic engines. Strap on your helmets and hold on tight. We're turning back the clock, and may the best boat win.
There they are, the champions of yesteryear. The Miss Century 21, the Bardol is out there, the Burien, the Miss Budweiser, all the great old hydroplanes. I've had a chance to ride in them myself. It's a great treat. It's fun to meet the people who worked so hard to bring them back to life. Our Brad Good has been following this whole idea of bringing back these hydroplanes. And Brad, not only the Blue Angels this year, you get to ride in a vintage boat to boot.
Double duty, Steve. I'll tell you, it's just amazing to see these old vintage boats. We are lucky enough to see them racing once again here on Lake Washington. Another chance for them to impress the fans. They are so difficult to maneuver in the water. My ride was on the Miss Burien by the Hydroplane and Race Museum here. Takes a lot of money, a lot of dedication, more than $100,000 to put these old boats back in the water so they can race again. And I can tell you, a lot of people are excited that these babies are thundering once again. They're back from the days when hydro racing was raw and low-tech, when fire poured from the pipes and drivers were flying by the seat of their pants.
It's going to be like a roller coaster ride through hell.
Oh, great. Step one before a nice boat ride, release and indemnification agreement. Sign here. There we go. Off to the races.
I think this looks fine.
510,
6 exactly. 185, I can probably squeeze in here.
Just be careful with that zipper, will you?
Woo! This is going to be big. You're going to be shaking, rattling, and rolling. You're going to have no seat belts. You're going to be looking around and seeing the world go by real fast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And what, I'm holding onto this, or this is...
That's it. That's what you hold on to. That's what's keeping you in the boat.
And before I knew it, this 2,000 horsepower relic was blowing across Lake Washington at 130 miles per hour. Even Chopper 7 had difficulty catching up with us. The straightaways are one thrill. The turns is where you appreciate the driver's skill as he fights to steer it.
It can be very, very nasty. And if you catch an edge in a roller, the boat will grab and spin a 360.
While this is what it looks like at 130, this is what it feels like. The man who led the effort to put the Miss Burien back on the lake says it's harder and harder to keep them running.
One of the challenges is the engines in these were manufactured for World War II fighter aircraft. So you're talking about the mid-40s, and there is not a factory that's stamping out parts for us.
And when it was over, you better believe I had a new appreciation for the old days of hydro racing.
When you hit those turns, to control the boat with that kind of motion and other boats throwing a wake right in your face, I mean, I don't know how they do that.
Well, I can tell you, I still don't know how they do that. Ken Muscatel, who just got out of the Miss Free Eye, is now actually behind me here, just pulling away from the dock in the Miss Hawaii Kai 3. So he's jumping into this vintage race, the Pemko vintage race. Listen to that. The Thunderboats are back on the lake, and they're going to go out now and hit the course here on Lake Washington for a race that they never finished back in 1960, some 40 years ago, with these classic boats. Let's go back up overhead and follow this action here.
All right, Brad, thanks very much. I know that's a treat. I'm glad you had a good time, as did I. Last year when I got a chance to drive, you could hear the boats trying to start, at least in a lot of places around the boat course. Let's bring in Mike Fitzsimmons and Scotty Pierce right now. These are the boats that you guys grew up with, the heroes that drove these boats, the boats that made Seafair so great in years past. Mike? Well, don't hear Mike. I know I should be.
I'm here.
There you are, my friend.
I'm here. It's a great pleasure to be here to watch these boats run. It's my dream come true, of course, to hear this kind of a sound again, in light of the fact that I just grew up over the hill, and every time I heard this, I skipped school. Now, my counterpart back in Detroit used to skip school to hear this kind of sound, too, but he went on to become a Gold Cup winner in 1976, a national champion, driver of the Miss U.S., the Budweiser, and the Squire Shop, Tom Deave. Tom, welcome.
Oh, it's great to be here in Seattle, and it's great to watch the Pemko Classic. It's coming up. We're going to have a fantastic time here on the river, and it's good to hear the sounds of these old boats.
And I wanted to point out that Tom is wearing his Detroit Yacht Club shirt today, just to stick it a little bit to Seattle. I know you're doing it for that, Tom.
Not really. I love the Seattle Yacht Club and the Detroit Yacht Club. In fact, I'm probably more famous in Seattle than I am in Detroit.
Well, Tom, you certainly are famous across the world of hydroplane racing. So let us watch these Unlimiteds now, these vintage Unlimiteds. This is the Pemko Classic, of course. And this is, if you will, a reenactment of the 1960 Gold Cup, the only Gold Cup in the 20th century that wasn't completed, except for one that wasn't completed because of a war.
Well, that's right. The wind was blowing at Lake Mead, and that just got blown out. And, of course, Miss Bardall was at that event, along with the Century 21, and just a fantastic time for these boats to be out here at Lake Washington.
Absolutely, and of course the Miss Bardall was the latest of the restorations of the Hydroplane and Race Boat Museum, and in that boat is a former Bardall driver. You're looking at the Miss Bardall right now, and that is Billy the Kid Shoemaker, who of course drove the 67 and 68 Bardall to National High Point Championship, but not this particular boat. That's the 58 version, and originally Norm Evans was the driver. Mira Slovak spent some time in that boat as well.
And Ron Musson, too.
Yes.
Of course, Billy Shoemaker, homegrown Seattle native, really the first homegrown Seattle, Washington State native to become famous as an unlimited hydroplane driver.
And just outside of Billy is the Nitrogen 2, the boat that starred in the movie Madison as Madison, was actually the Save Airs Miss, the former Miss Lumberville when it was first built. But notwithstanding, it's painted up in the colors that Sam DuPont's Nitrogen and Nitrogen 2 carried, of course, in a number of races. Ron Musson was a fellow who drove that one as well.
That's right. Sam DuPont, of course, bought the Nitrogens early on and gave Ronnie Musson his break. Ronnie Musson went on to drive this particular Miss Bardall that we're looking at right now, that Billy Shoemaker is now in, and of course went on to win. Ronnie Musson went on to win 3 Gold Cups, 3 national championships.
Yes, he did. Okay, up to the north turn they come now, and this is a reenactment race. Remember, these are vintage museum pieces, so they're not going to flat out run these things for golden glory, because they don't want to break anything. We have the Miss Century 21, the Miss Burien. We have also the Budweiser presents Miss Seattle 2, both that disintegrated here in 1962 with Dallas Sarge driving. So here they come to the line, and inside it's the Bardall in lane number 2. It's the Nitrogen 2, lane 3, Miss Burien, lane 4, Miss Century 21. Now, we were supposed to have a Gale 5 also. We needed to have a Detroit villain, so I think we'll pick the Nitrogen 2 as the East Coast villain for this one.
All right, that's a good boat to pick, because that came from the East Coast, from the Wilmington, Delaware area.
Absolutely did. The original Nitrogen became the first Miss Madison. The second Nitrogen 2 became the Madison, the second Miss Madison, and in fact the 71 Gold Cup winner that this one represents. There's the Burien on the outside.
The Lazy Boy presents Miss Burien is on the outside there, taking that upper corner, and they're really three boats side by side. Sea Ray presents Miss Bardall coming out on the inside, Nitrogen next to him.
You know, the Miss Bardall doesn't even have the graphics on it that were put on with appliques. This is actually painted on just like it was done back in 1958. Look at the Century 21 come up on the outside now.
There's the Graham presents Century 21 coming up on the outside. We're looking for the Miss Budweiser, the Seattle 2 Miss Budweiser boat. I don't see it out there.
It's trailing back. Well, let's see the Hawaii Kai. And we don't see Dixon Smith in that boat, the Budweiser. He was towed out originally to come out onto the race course, but we did not see him check in. Hawaii Kai is trailing with Ken Muscatel doing the driving there. They go into the north turn again. Of course, in the days in which this type of boats were racing on Lake Washington, this was a 3-mile course, and they ran 10 laps around it, 30 miles for every single heat, and that was really, you had to have incredible upper body strength to be able to do that.
Oh, that's when I first came to Seattle in 1973. We ran a 3-mile course, and I thought the straightaways would never end.
God, you got to see Renton, you got to see Bellevue. It was, it was pretty nice. Down the front straightaway, Billy Shoemaker leads, but here comes David Williams across the line in the nitrogen 2. And he pokes his nose out front. Miss Burion's right in there as well. And here comes the Century 21 on the outside. Of course, the Century 21. Oh, there you were asking about Dixon Smith. There he is. The Miss Budweiser presents Miss Seattle 2, Dead in the Water down there. That's one of the latest restorations of the museum, and it is absolutely gorgeous to get a front line look at that.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's got all mahogany decks and with the white pinstriping down the decks. The boat's just exactly the way it was.
Through the lower corner, got lots of traffic down there. Of course, in the days in which these boats raced, qualifying would begin on a Wednesday afternoon, even as early as a Monday in some cases in the early 50s. These guys would run all week long.
Oh, they did. Billy Shoemaker again on the inside lane. That boat looks like it's running perfectly. I mean, he's got it running nice and smooth up the backstretch. There on the Seattle course, these choppy waters. Dave Williams and the nitrogen running side by side with him. What a beautiful sight that is.
Isn't it, though? Brings back some great memories. When Mercer Island didn't have near as many houses on it.
No, that's for sure. And there we have, coming up on the outside, the Graham Trucking presents Miss Century 21. Right next to the Lazy Boy presents Miss Burien.
And, of course, the Graham Trucking presents Miss Century 21. That was the Century 21, the paint scheme in the year of the World's Fair, 1962. It was the Miss Thriftway. Willard Rhodes renamed the boat in honor of the World's Fair and as a promotional tool for the World's Fair. It ran as Miss Century 21 with Bill Munsey driving.
Well, Bill Munsey, I'm sure, loved that boat. That boat gave him a lot of victories, and he had a lot of luck with it. It was a sweet boat to watch run, and I always loved the Maryland sound over the Allison Sound. We can hear that sound now.
Absolutely. The Green Dragon, Miss Bardall, leads them to the start-finish line now. The nitrogen second on the outside. Here comes the Century 21. Pulling up alongside the nitrogen now and pulling into second place momentarily.
Look at the boats. That's a beautiful formation right there. There's almost 4 abreast with the nitrogen lagging back a little bit. A close-up now of Billy Shoemaker looking over at the Miss Century 21 on the outside, sliding the boat through the corner there, just doing a beautiful job with these old girls.
And Bill's back in the saddle again after completing his hydroplane career in the middle 1970s aboard the Olympia Beer, which was the last competitive ride he had, and of course ran the Bardalls and was a pay and pack driver as well.
Well, Billy was most famous for the checkerboard Bardalls, the 67 and 68, where he won the national championships and won 2 Gold Cups back-to-back. I believe this is the first time that he's driven this particular boat.
Beautiful restoration. This boat sat in Goodwill down on Dearborn, just off Rainier Avenue, for many, many years after it was it completed its life in the actual competition, and was in pretty good preserved condition. So that most of what they had to do was engine fittings and that sort of thing, and some cosmetic work. But as far as the hull itself was concerned, looks like we're going to go around one more time here. Dave Williams waving to everybody in the nitrogen. Well, that brings back memories. Sure does.
Oh, it sure does. I think they're giving a good wave to the crowd now. That little burst to the finish line, I believe, was the end of the Pemko Classic.
I believe Bardall won this.
Bardall won it.
Does this go in the record books?
I think
Bardall wins the 60 Gold Cup.
Has to go down as Billy Shoemaker winning in the Bardall one more time.
That's a familiar sound too. Absolutely is. Well, what a beautiful opportunity, of course, to display unlimited hydroplanes of yesteryear before huge crowds. And of course, the Hydroplane and Raceboat Museum is the beneficiary of this. They are also the people who made it possible, but along with the Pemko folks. But this gives you a chance to see these things, like seeing an old steam engine if you're a railroad buff, being able to see that piece of history still operational.
Oh, absolutely. And here comes the winner of the Pemko Classic. Sea Ray presents Miss Bardall, and a close-up shot of Billy the Kid Shoemaker from Seattle, Washington.
That'd be a thrill for him to be back in the saddle again.
Oh, it has to be. He hasn't been in a boat in a long time, and I know he's thrilled to death. And of course, the Bardall family, Evelyn Manchester and Ole Bardall, they've been true sportsmen and loyal to the city of Seattle for many years.
David Williams goes by. Here goes the Hawaii Kai, which of course was such a beautiful, beautiful boat in its day, and There was a record holder, world record holder, Miss Burien from just in the community just south, one of the first community-owned race boats.
Right, the Lazy Boy presents Miss Burien. She did a beautiful job out there in the Pemko Classic.
Well, now when you hear these kinds of engines, of course, when you first began to drive, of course, you drove in race boats that had this kind of engine. This U.S., which won the Gold Cup in 1976 with, was a turbo Allison-powered boat. You understand what it takes to keep these old engines. I noticed the Pop Cooper, for example, said one of his motors had a 1938 stamp on it.
Oh, yeah.
Those are very old.
The oldest parts, or the newest parts in these motors are 50 years old. Back up. There's another close-up shot of Billy gliding to the dock, and of course they'll toss him a line, and they had a lot of fun. There's no doubt about that. Ken Muscatel in the background in the Hawaii Kai, and Ike Keelgas drove Barbara Carper's Century 21. Graham Trucking presents Century 21.
These, of course, is a good example of the design differentials. Now, of course, the recessed leading edges, the wings, the whole thing didn't have that here. These were the round prows. We call them the shovel nose type boats. The Bardol was a contiguous deck. The Nitrogen 2 had the drop sponson. These were the prominent designs of their era.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we've got to give a tip of the hat to all the volunteers that spent hours and hours restoring these boats and putting them back in shape. Dave Williams and the entire crew at the Hydroplane Museum in Seattle, because it just adds great flavor to the show here in Seattle.
There's as many women on the crews of this group, this volunteer crews for each of these boats, as there are guys.
Oh, absolutely. They do a fantastic job. I was down in their pit area today watching them work, and these are unpaid volunteers. They're not the high-paid professionals that are over there in that Budweiser camp, but they do a professional job.
Pure labor of love for these folks. They've restored these boats. They've spent countless hours getting them put back together again. Some of them were in pretty awful shape when they first got them. And of course, this boat, we're looking at Dixon Smith. Dax, of course, was one of the great crew members of all time. His dad as well. And the Budweiser, he's worked with you in the past.
He's worked with the Pay and Pack boats.
Pay and Pack boats.
Expert
Bardol.
Engine man with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engines. And, of course, he works on the Budweiser crew to this day. In fact, I watched him over there repairing the wing. Here we got Billy
your
Shoemaker.
winner. Wrung out in sweat, of course. He gets a mini gold cup for his trouble. Billy, the kid Shoemaker, wins the Pemko Classic. Bondi, great to see you. Great to have you with us. There's the Pemko Classic. Man, that was worth the price of admission.
Awesome job for the crew and the driver.
You bet.
Mike and Tom, thanks very much, and we want to go down to Brad Good, who got his ride and now got to see some great history in the making here in Seattle. Brad?
Hey, how about that, you guys, huh? Billy Shoemaker coming in, winning. Let me get to the winner right here if I can. Well, Billy, I'll see. You winning in the Miss Bardol brings back some memories, huh?
Yes, it does, for sure. I'd never driven this boat before, but it was actually fun to drive. I enjoyed it.
What was it like back out there again as we heard all the thunder go?
I think I'm getting wet.
You're getting a champagne bath for that victory.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. The boats had a lot of speed on me, but I managed to make it up in the corners. So.
Tell me, it's got to be just like getting right back on a bike again for you.
It sure did feel that way, yeah. It was easy to feel at home in a boat that drove so well. The crew on this boat did a wonderful job of preparing it. I was a little worried about it this morning, but it ran perfect.
Well, we saw a huge cheer and roar from the crowd. So many people are so happy to see these boats back on the water and to see you back racing again. Again, that's got to make you feel good. Let's take a look at this here, your trophy right there. Beautiful. Anything to say to the Seattle fans here that have loved these boats for so many years?
Well, you know, Pemko put this race on for us, Pemko Insurance Company, and I think the public really enjoyed it from all the response that I got when I came back in. And it is fun to have the boats out there that make all the noise. We had a good race. It was a lot of fun, and Bardol is once again a winning boat, and Sea Ray helped us do it. I'm real thankful for that.
Billy Shoemaker, again, congratulations. Nice race.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, back up to you.
All right, Brad, and a great bit of history played out on the lake here. Meantime, we're going to try to make some history ourselves. Who is going to win the first General Motors Cup at Seafair of the new millennium? The provisional race is still to come.
The GM Cup Provisional Heat, presented for Seafair by GMC. Do one thing, do it well.
And we're getting very close to the provisional heat here. Let's run down the players for you. And Mike, at least one surprise in this group.
Certainly is a surprise. The Freddish Club is in this one because of some fuel violations in previous heats. She would ordinarily have 869 points and coast into the final. Not so. could be the trailer boat if it wins here. Appian Geronimo, Free Eye, and Vacationville.
All right, Mark Tate, of course, piloting the Freddy's Club, and our Bill Rocky is in the Freddy's Club pits.
It's kind of interesting down here. Jim Harvey's looking at, they're adding up points here. They're still not sure they're supposed to be in this thing. The crew didn't think they were going to be, but now they're adding up points with one of the Go Bowling crew, and right now Jim Harvey's still not sure he should be in this.
Well, the officials think he should be, and so he's out there on the course. He and his boat just in case.
We got to get a hold of
the Appian Geronimo with George Stratton. They would love to get into this final and race for some more points, Michael.
Well, this has got to be a real disappointment for the Freddy's Club people and for Mark Tate. He's performed very, very well, but for those violations and the points that are robbed from him as a result of that kind of a situation. That's a sad statement, unfortunately, and probably one of the problems.
All right, here's the Appian Geronimo now. We're talking, here's George Stratton. And, Scotty, what do they have to do to get some more points?
Well, obviously the only object of this game is to win this deal, and that puts you as a trailer, which is no picnic either, because that puts you 7th behind 6 thumpers running down to the first third of the final. But George, I think for his own self-confidence in his future, he just needs to make a good start and have a good ride and get at least one clean heat out of today.
Ken Muscatel climbs out of an old boat and into the new boat. Let's see if he can make this thing turn. We know it goes fast straight, Mike.
Everything to gain, nothing to lose for Ken Muscatel. He doesn't have very many points. He can slip into the final heat, finish in the money despite what's been otherwise a dismal performance today.
And, Scotty, for all of the guys who still like the piston boats, it'd be fun to see Mitch Evans get in there with Vacationville.
Well, I would sure love to see it. Mitch is a great, great guy, and he'll give it everything he has. I guarantee you he'll wring that old Allison out.
All right, everyone's still adding points, but we're 10 seconds. Mike, we're coming to you for the start.
Coming to the line inside, it is going to be the... Let's see, the Freddy's Club is going to be on the 3-lane. The Boise Charger, he's coming right to the line. Appian's on the inside, and outside of him is the U3 Vacationville and complete outside. That's Ken Muscatel as they go into the corner. Freddy's Club is going in there with a vengeance at the present time. He absolutely wants to win this thing. He wants to get to the final for his sponsor and for the folks at Coors, of course, who are participating as a sponsor of this boat as well. And he looks like he's got dominance in this particular field.
Well, he's going to have to watch his fuel if he's been exceeding fuel, and he's going awful quick. And George Stratton has not given up by any stretch of the imagination. Mark Tate, probably up here in the corner, will take the corner out from him.
Definitely will. He gives him enough of a lane, but that's going to be all she wrote as far as that goes. He's going to come out of that corner, and then he'll have his 5 boat links, and he can close the door.
Yeah, he made it real, real tight coming through there for him, Mike.
Sure did. He left the lane, but that's all you have to do. You have to leave a lane. You don't have to leave him a freeway. And here he comes across the line to finish first on the first of 3 times around. But George's game, he's staying with him.
Yeah, actually, I think he may have caught him a little bit on that lap. And I think that Tate has the overlap to take him out, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet.
Of course, that gets real controversial. Does 5 boat links equal no rooster tail touching the other boat? I don't think so, but then some folks seem to argue that it might. Nevertheless, he definitely has boat speed on him in any event, and the question is that going to be illegal in terms of fuel flow? If it isn't, of course, this is all for naught, but if it is, he'll slip into the final heat. The only trailer boat ever to win from that position was in 1993 down in San Diego when Mike Hansen did it in the old Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. So it can be done, but it sure doesn't happen very often.
No, once in history. But, boy, today's been a strange day, so maybe today's the second time.
And it was a strange day back down in San Diego in 93 also. A lot of the front runners ran into all kinds of bad luck. Across the line for the second time, running 131.202, so he isn't exactly setting records out there, but he's definitely running out front. Third now overall is the Free Eye across the line. Fourth, it is the Vacationville. Okay, we're on the last lap, and we're up the back chute now. Freddy's Club.
I think Mark just wants to stay clean is why he didn't take it. He certainly has the radio and the experience to do it. He knows he's going to win, and so he's just leaving it open. And George is game to keep sticking his nose in there. I don't know if I'd stick my nose in there so many times.
Definitely going to give it one last shot if he can possibly pull it off, and he's coming right up on him now into the mid-rooster tail. He's going to be real close. Coming up. Oh, nice corner. Oh, he went inside. He went inside the exit pin, so that'll take him out of it. George went inside the exit pin. Checkered flag is out. And it is the Freddy's Club winning the Provisional. George is going to have to go an extra lap here to make up that buoy because he was not on the right side of that particular exit pin.
Did he obliterate it, Michael? It looks like it's down.
Did he whack it? He may have whacked it. He definitely was inside of it. His rooster tail, I think, got it. Yeah, it is not in its position. So his rooster tail destroyed it looks like. That's also going to cost him $300.
Boy, his day just has not been good. He's probably going to be happy to go back to Vegas, that guy.
I tell you, he could have made as much money running a backhoe today.
Well, there you see Freddie's Club. And again, as Bill Rocky was telling us, they were still figuring up points right till the time that the boats were approaching the start line to see if they actually should be in the Provisional. Jim Harvey, leaving no stone unturned, leaves the boat out there, and they win the Provisional, so they will be in the final. But, Scott, as you said, this is no walk in the park because now they still become the trailer.
Yeah, the times that it happened to me, which were thankfully few, that I was put in a trailer position, I almost thought, boy, do I have a headache? Does my toe hurt? I mean, anything to get out of that, because you talk about getting this, the holy heck beat out of you. That is BB in a wash tub if there ever was one.
Let's find out what Bill Rocky has to say from Jim Harvey, the boat owner. Bill?
Steve, thanks. Jim, you're doing a little quick addition there on the points.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Freddie's Club looked like we were on the front row in the final. We overfueled the engine. This is really difficult to deal with because the heat before we were way below the limit, and now we were above the limit. So we had to run the Connie at the last minute, and we're in the final. We're the trailer boat. We'll do the best we can. Maybe something will happen. We can move up.
But you did think you had a few more points there originally when you're out here in the dock.
There was some confusion going around, and I tried to hastily find out where we were, and we're in the final, unless we overfueled again, and we won't know until the boat comes in.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Back to you, Steve.
Bill, let's get a quick explanation from Scott Pierce. When he talks about overfueling, they can only use a certain amount of fuel, right?
Yes, they're given an actual apparatus that limits the fuel to 4.3 gallons. But you can set the engine up to actually pull more fuel out of it with sophisticated bypasses and hoses and different ways to do it. And what you're trying to achieve is to never go over 4.3, but never go below 4.3. And when the engines load and unload, and especially through the corners, when the torque comes way up in the engine, it wants to grab more fuel from it. And it's extremely frustrating. The more sophisticated or well-funded teams, I should say, have the ability to have a computer. You see the antennas on top of the Budweiser trucks. The Fred Leland boats have them, and they have telemetry going between the boat and the truck, and they can actually call out to the driver and tell the driver, if he's overfueling. Jim Harvey doesn't have that.
Well, Jim Harvey will be in the final, as he said. But here are the boats that he's going to race against. The point leaders as of this point in the day as we head into the championship race, the GM Cup at Seafair. The Miss Elam, the Zenetics, oh boy, Alberto, Budweiser down there, Go Bowling. It's going to be quite a finish. Quite a finish to the day we're going to have out here on the lake and come back for it all. The sun's out. All of your friends, some 350,000, have gathered around the lake as we continue here at Lake Washington. Wow, this is how you feel after about 8 hours out here in the sun and the breeze. The boat starts looking almost look like an apparition to you, doesn't it? No, actually, these boats aren't ghosts, although they can move very quickly. One just did. The Freddie's Club and made it into the final. Here's Bill Rocky.
Mark Tate, you were surprised, too, to get into this Constellation heat. You didn't think you were going.
No, I thought we were in the final. I'm sitting in the truck, and all of a sudden Harvey runs up and said, hey, the 10-minute gun went off. He goes, why aren't you ready? I said, what are you talking about? We're in the final. We're not running the Connie. And no, we had a fuel violation, which I'm very surprised about because we've been first two heats today, no problems, well below the limits, and we hadn't made any motor changes, same motor, same combination all day, and then all of a sudden we had a violation and lost all of our points and everything. Unfortunate for the Freddie's Club.
Good thing is, though, you did win the Constellation, so you are going to be out there even though you're going to be back.
Well, we got to go and get another reading on this fuel stuff here, and, we should be fine. I'm hoping that we're going to be in the final with the Freddie's Club. We're going to be way back in the sloppy water, but it's a boat race. A lot of things can happen out there.
Okay, Mark, thanks again. Let's go back to you, Steve.
Bill Rocky will await Mark Tate's arrival at the awards stand directly in front of us in the pits, where he will be presented with the Provisional Heat Winner's Trophy. Then he can go back with Jim Harvey and the rest of the crew and get that boat ready, as all the rest of the crews are doing, making last-minute adjustments, preparing themselves for the big championship heat, which is still to come now. About 4:40, according to the schedule, originally set for about 4:10, but everything got thrown cattywampus earlier in the day with with one of the boats, the York Lowry boat, getting thrown cattywampus, and Mark Webber being slightly injured, but he's okay wandering around. If you're just joining us, we've had a terrific day of boat racing, some controversy on the docks, some interesting happenings out on the water. The air show has been wonderful. The Blue Angels were terrific. They had to adjust their program a bit for a low ceiling, although you wouldn't know it now, as the kids and their parents and everyone else out in the water as the sun has come out over Lake Washington. As we see Mark Tate moving into position at the award stand. We'll get to him in a moment. Meantime, we again want to thank all the volunteers all around the Pacific Northwest who have helped put this together. You know, there are committees for everything when it comes to Seafair. The Log Boom has its own group. All the volunteers who work the shoreline and all the rest, they do a marvelous job every year. Beth Wojcik, congratulations to you and all the folks at Seafair. Meantime, here are the awards now to be presented to Mark Tate, the winner of the Provisional Heat.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Mark Francic, and on behalf of GMC, Professional Grade Trucks and General Motors, we'd like to congratulate Mark Tate on a fantastic win and the Freddy's Club team, and wish you luck in your final heat today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Freddy's Club and the whole crew and team appreciates GM's involvement. And, you know, I'm a Detroit guy, so you sponsoring this event brings a little Detroit to Seattle. And we're very proud of it. I want to thank Dave Bemis here, one of the Freddy Club managers, for all his support and help. Thank you.
There you go, a Detroit guy here in the Northwest, and a lovely day it is. Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. We've got championship racing when we come back.